All right, I have a story for you. Are you ready for it? All right, so this is the story about the setting is post-war London, Second World War London. No, post-Second World War London, and it's absolutely destroyed, right? Because the war, London was one of the biggest targets of the Nazis, so it's absolutely destroyed. And you have this family from Iraq, which migrated from Iraq to London in this period of time, and they have two sons, small sons, 1 and 4 years old. So that's the setting, right? So they are migrating. Absolutely everything is destroyed. And they're building their life from beginning, learning the language, doing all this shit, right? And those two brothers end up being not only successful, but being the guys who would change how we see advertisement today to a degree. But not only that, but influencing in the end the elections in England, in London. Are you interested? This is 8 Figures Before 40, and today we're talking about Saatchi brothers. All right, so you have those two brothers, right? Charles and Maurice. Maurice is the name. Charles and Maurice. Charles is the older one, Maurice is the younger one. So the Charles is the ambitious one. So he is the one who wants to, achieve shit. He is the one who fights for the thing. He is the one who is the goal setter. He is the one. And at 23 years old, he finds this guy, and this guy's name is Ross Kramer. Ross Kramer is kind of a creative, artistic guy. And you have Charles, who is like more sales type of guy. And they connecting together and creating this ad agency, which is called Saatchi and Kramer Saatchi Agency. And they're starting cooking. They're starting doing these ad campaigns here and there, but there is a conflict in the very beginning of this agency because the Kramer is the artistic person. He is like, I don't want to do this big scale things. I want to do this artistic, very nice, very niche type of advertisement. And you have Charles, who is like, we need to scale. We need to, do the cold calling. We need to do the shit. And based on this, they cannot, sustain the strategy of this agency. So they break up. And Charles, as you can imagine, just refuses to give up. And he's like, all right, what can I do? I have a brother. My brother is Maurice. He invited his brother, and that was the moment they started the agency, which is called Saatchi and Saatchi. And they're starting cold calling. They're just starting cold calling companies, other agencies to help them and stuff like that. And all of the calls ended up with rejections. Nothing works, right? And they're thinking, okay, if we don't sell on the small scale, nobody buys our shit. Maybe it makes sense, not to sell on the big scale. What if we say we just refuse to work with 50% of people who are advertising? We are working only with the big guys, and we are focusing only on the big guys. And that was the idea. That was the kind of fundamental idea, not to build something that will be small by design, but build something that is big by design. They said, okay, let's roll with this idea, but how actually we get attention of the people? Yeah, and this is the moment they're like, all right, so what if we do the campaign for free for a big organization? And they're aiming somebody big, and somebody big in their idea was the Health Education Council. At the moment, it was one of the big ministries in the London. And what they did is, the problem was at the moment that there was a lot of men who was sleeping with the woman and just leaving them, not using the condoms and things. Condom wasn't a thing at the moment. And that was actually a problem of the national scale. And what they did, they created this campaign called Pregnant Man. So they created a picture of the man who was pregnant, basically. And they said, if you were pregnant, would you kind of do the same shit, And that was the moment they became famous because people are like, wow, that's amazing, pregnant man. Everybody likes to see a pregnant man, so seems like it, I know. And that was the moment they kind of get the attention and start enrolling. So they're getting some money, they're getting some clients, and Charles is like, you know what, we're going to just buy another ad agency, just grow by that. Now they're becoming so big that they getting into politics. So they getting a call from one of the parties in London saying, all right, we need to win these elections. All right, but the Labour Party is ahead. They're big, they're strong, they have a lot of financing, a lot of ads. What can we do? And the Saatchi guys is thinking. They're like, you know what's going on right now? The employment rates are really low. So a lot of people don't have a job. How we can kind of connect those two? And they came up with this absolutely iconic campaign called Labor Isn't Working. Just 3 words, just attacking absolutely from the angle people very much understand. And that was the campaign that also made them move them to the absolute another level of helping political powers, local political powers, which is pretty cool. It's pretty dope, you know. But the ambition wasn't without a cost. They had problems. At some moment, they're getting so big, they tried to acquire a bank, but at that moment already, the government said, no, that is not going to happen. You're becoming too big and it's too much. And 1994, they're becoming so big that they actually starting losing control over their own organization. They have already shareholders on the board seat. And Charles was still very ambitious. So saying we need to expand, we need to acquire more and more. And the board was like, all right, it's fine enough. Our spending is already too big. They were spending something like 40 million. They got a 40 million pounds revenue hole at the moment, so which was kind of big. And it ended up in absolutely Apple style, Steve Jobs style of the situation where Charles just said, I'm quitting Saatchi and Saatchi, and I'm taking all the best guys out of it. And Maurice as well goes, as his, brother. And they're starting a new agency in 1994, which is called Maurice and Charles Saatchi, M&C Saatchi, as a new agency. Funny enough, the previous agency continued going, but already they restructured their shit, but they continue going. But the new agency grew a lot faster than the second one. So it was the question: are we, as the founders, are we the ones who are this factor of growth, or is it like just the name, the brand, the company? And it became clear that was them and the main core team basically building this thing. They got several clients. Well, one of them was a pretty big one. That was a British Airways. Also went to them, but the problem was by this time both Charles and Maurice was already kind of rich and kind of don't need this shit. They don't need this kind of intensity, and they don't need this type of ambition. They still built a pretty big company in the end. M&C Saatchi in 2023 was valued at 236 million, which is pretty strong, it's pretty dope. Saatchi still exists, but now they are under Publix Group, so meaning they was bought, and they still remain the key player in UK and in generally in the ad market. This is how it goes. By the way, the Saatchi guy, the Charles, got into so afterwards he got bored of the ad industry and he went into the art industry, which could be interesting for you. And what the guy did, and he still is doing, and everybody hates him in the art industry, just hates him. And the idea is he comes to the artists, which are maybe not so known or known, but a bit known. And then he buys everything they have. And then he sells it, he buys it in bulk cheap, and then sells it in retail kind of with a margin. This is how he makes money. Everybody hates him, but he's like, this is what I do. This is my move. So I like to destroy artists. So this is what my soul is about. Here you go. So here's the story. Here's the story of Saatchi brothers, Charles and Maurice, and let's talk about lessons we can get, right? This is a podcast about lessons. This is about money. This is about how we can get to 8 figures before 40. Those guys got there. Let's take the lessons from them. So first lesson I found in here was, so first will be, think big even when you are small. Think big from the start. And here's the quote. when they only started the new agency, Saatchi and Saatchi brothers. And the quote of Charles was, "We will cut ourselves from 50% of advertisers." And that was the idea from day one. They didn't have any advertisers at all at the moment, but they decided to cut themselves from 50%, which was small, which wasn't ambitious enough, which wasn't interesting enough. And that's lesson number one. Don't try to play in a small field. Play with the big guys, play and target the big table from the very, very beginning. So this is lesson number one. Second, make everyone a salesman. And here's a quote of Charles. All our creative people have to act as if they were salesmen. So that was, I believe, the lesson after working with this guy, with this first guy, Ross, the artistic guy. He felt like it's very important that everybody sells. It's very important that everybody feels like they own the organization and they kind of selling the services to the customer. And that's kind of the simplicity they go. Another quote from Charles. Most agencies have replaced the basic function of selling with myths and mystics about marketing and research, which happens. We've seen that. The third lesson would be about simplicity. And here's the quote. But agencies and clients have become too sophisticated, whereas advertising is not a sophisticated process at all. So they believed in the idea of simple product. Deliver a simple product as good as possible, not overcomplicated, not try to, while communicating it, overcomplicating it, but also while delivering it, overcomplicating it. So yeah, here we go. That was the lessons from Saatchi brothers for today. I hope you liked it, and I hope you will, subscribe, write me some review, write me some feedback, something good for me, something I would like to see and hear.